Extrusion defect. Defect in extruded parts. Extrusion defect. This defect is caused by the non-homogeneous deformation of the metal caused by insufficient lubrication at the billet container interface or chilling of the metal at the container walls. In a direct extrusion process, as the billet moves relative to the container wall, the metal flow often becomes a non-uniform due to the high friction between the billet and the container wall and the chilling caused by container wall. Under the pressure, the hot core is more easily extruded than the chilled thin skin that remains with the container. And also, as the extrusion continues, the chilled outside skin begins to buckle and is finally forced out of the die opening, and the bucket metal in the extrude section form the extrusion defect. Obviously, because of the absence of relative movement between the billet and the container, very little extrusion defect is caused by indirect extrusion. So in there, first extrusion defects is can be avoided by preheating the die and container to avoid cracking, extruding the billet just up to the time when buckled portions start intruding the die and rejecting the remaining billet, using a ram of smaller diameter so that only the hot core section to the billet is extruded and the chilled outer layer is left in the container to be discarded later. And another defect known as your extrusion piping. As extrusion process approach its end and only a small portion of the billet is left unextruded, the last portion, that is thin, chilled, या oxidized enters the die and forms a funnel shape या axial opening in the extruded section. A hole in the form of pipes get form a section to the some length. This is the called piping defect. And ये जो defect होता है cannot be avoided. Only remedy is to discard the defective length of the workpiece. Then next one is defect is that is your surface cracking. Surface crack of different kinds are formed on the extrude product based on the surface condition and nature of deformation. The change of formation of these crack increase the amount of surface chilling and the oxidation taking place. High ram speed may also cause the surface crack. तो high ram speed जो होता है मेजर causes है surface crackness का. Next defect है that is your bamboo defect. This इसमें इस type of this is the type of surface crack caused by low working temperature. Due to the low working temperature, the product gets stuck momentarily at the die land, and as the extrusion pressure increase its move forward. Again, after the some time, the cycle of sticking and moving forward under the high pressure is repeated. Periodic repetition of the cycle creates surface crack in the product known as a bamboo defect, क्योंकि cracks look like a bamboo stem. यहाँ पे जो crack होगा वो look like a bamboo, that is known as bamboo defect. Surface crack can be avoided by using normal ram speed or working temperature in this process, providing a good lubrication, reducing surface oxidation, or thermal insulation of the container can also be help in reducing surface crack. What is the center breast defect? In the center breast defect, that is the diagram shows that they have a center breast. This one is the center breast. सेंटर ब्रेस्ट डिफेक्ट जो है हमारा वो कहलाता है एरो हेड फ्रैक्चर या क्रेवोन क्रैकिंग, जो कि इज एन इंटरनल क्रैक है occurring along the extrude product. And also these cracks occurs due to the presence of a state of hydrostatic tensile force at the center line in the horizontal in the center line in the deformation zone. and the defect normally occurs at the low extrusion ratio and the large die angles and is caused by high frictional condition at the die surface and improper smooth metal flow. Use of correct die angle and a suitable lubrication system favoring smooth metal flow at the homogeneous deformation can be avoided this defect. This is known as a center brush defect. There are five defects we study, that is extrusion defect. First one is extrusion defect. Second one is your extrusion piping. Third one is your surface cracking. Fourth one is the bumper defect, and fifth one is the center brush defect. So these are defected in extruded product. Defects इन एक्सट्रूड प्रोडक्ट में हम लोग को 5 मेजरली एक्सट्रूशन डिफेक्ट कॉजेस एंड देखते हैं, जिसमें कि एक्सट्रूशन डिफेक्ट्स जो कि प्रॉपर अगर हम लोग बात करते हैं तो डिफेक्ट इज कॉज बाय द नॉन होमोजेनस डिफॉर्मेशन ऑफ द मेटल कॉज बाय इनएफिशिएंट लुब्रिकेशन जो कि बिलेट कंटेनर और इंटरफेस के थ्रू, और इसमें साथ ही साथ डायरेक्ट एक्सट्रूशन प्रोसेस एज द बिलेट मूव्स करता है रिलेटेड टू द कंटेनर वॉल और मेटल फ्लो ऑफन बिकम्स नॉन यूनिफॉर्म ड्यू टू हाई फ्रिक्शन बिटवीन द बिलेट एंड द container wall and the chilling caused by container wall. Under pressure, the hot core is more easily extruded than the chilled skin that remains within the container. Extrusion piping is the extrusion process also approach the end only a small portion of the billet is left extend. In there surface cracking में surface crack हो जा रहे हैं, different kinds of form on the extrude product based on the surface condition and nature of deformation पे depend करता है. And also a high ram speed जो होता है the major causes है surface cracking का. Bamber defect जो particular defect था, this type of crack surface defect also at इसमें condition यहाँ पर थी low working temperature की. Due to low working temperature, product gets stuck momentarily at the die and the land, and also the extrusion pressure increases. And next, that is your center brush. You have seen this diagram, center brush. Center brush को हम लोग also बोलते हैं arrowhead fracture या Crevin cracking, जो कि internal crack occurring होता है along the extrude product, जैसे कि हम यहाँ पे diagram में देख सकते हैं.